Hey, happy Friday to you. It's another edition of My Life as Your State Representative. This is week week five. Now, I'm doing this a bit early. It is a little after 11 o'clock on Friday morning. Now, I don't like to do it like this, but I'm going to tell you why. I mean, and this is part of explaining about being in this building. So, if you didn't watch the news this week, you missed a big story. On Wednesday, we had an almost 6 hour floor session in the House debating Senate Bill 324, which is the Low Carbon Fuel Standards bill. It was, it was, I almost want you to watch that, which you can do on the legislative website, OLIS, OLIS, and you could look it up and just go back and look at that date and find if you have 6 hours to spare, which I can't imagine anybody has 6 hours to spare. But the only reason I say you should watch it is purely out of a civics lesson. If you have kids, especially maybe junior high, high school kids, I think it'd be fascinating to watch because you saw government in action or inaction, whichever way you want to look at it. Because I'll take you real quick through some things. And again, if this is the first time you've watched this, this is not a commentary. I'm not trying to start fights or do anything like that. I'm just telling you the reality of what it is to be in this building, especially as a new guy. So you're on the House floor, and let me take you through the motions of what happened. So the first thing is, Senate Bill 324 is introduced by the carrier. The carrier reads his or her introduction of what the bill is about, and so on and so forth. And then normally there would be discussion or debate, if you want to call it that, on that particular bill, and then there would be the vote. In this case, because we Republicans were not in favor of this particular bill, we introduced a second version, which is called an amendment or amended version or a -1 or a B or whatever you want to call it. So there was discussion on the original bill, and then there was the motion to accept the amended version. So that had a ton of discussion, and then it was voted down on a party line. So then you go back to the original bill, and there was a motion to move the bill to a committee to work on it some more, and lots of debate, and then voted down on a party line. And you go back to the original bill, and then you have a motion to, I believe it was to postpone it indefinitely, the bill. Debate, and then a vote, and it was no on a party line. And then you go back to the original bill again, and this time you debate, and eventually vote on the bill. And the bill passed 31-29. All the Republicans were a no, and 4 Democrats were a no. So that's why it took almost 6 hours. Now, you might say, well, those people were just wasting time down there. No, it was important. That was the process of government, of lawmaking. That was the process. Because when you're in the minority, as we are as Republicans, we can't really change a vote. We can't really even we only have one thing, and that is our voices. And so somebody might sit back and watch that whole display for nearly 6 hours and say, well, gee, what a waste of time that was. No, that was, if the Democrats had been in the other position of being a minority, they would have done the same thing, and I wouldn't blame them. Now that I'm in this building. So that's something I want you to learn from. The difference is from being outside this building and being inside this building, you understand the process a little more when you're inside. That doesn't mean you're because you're outside the building, you're a dummy or something. I was outside the building, and I thought some things about that process, but now I understand better why you have to do that process. Because when you're in the minority, especially in nearly a super minority, you don't have a lot of ammo in your ammo belt. One of the few pieces of ammo that you have is your voice, and that would be 25 people being able to stand up and say, well, wait a minute, here's what I think. And I thought we made a really incredibly good argument and against the low carbon fuel standard, and that's okay. Well, I mean, it's not okay, but I mean, it passed, and that's government at work. So again, I'm not trying to. I don't want to knock anybody or anything, and I don't want you knocking anybody. That's just the way it is. I wanted you to know what the process was like. For me, I didn't speak that day. So again, let me kind of give you a little more about what it's like to be in this building, and especially on the floor for something like that. I didn't. So you have 5 minutes each person has 5 minutes in each one of those different debates. Remember, there was basically 4 different debates that were held. I gave my time up. And that was because we had some people that needed more than 5 minutes. Maybe they needed 10, maybe they needed 20 minutes. And so people raise their hand and you give up your 5 minutes to that person. I gave mine up a couple of times because I didn't really feel like I had anything to add that was any more intelligent or better or any, just didn't have anything to add. So I let people that are much wiser than I am speak. But that was part of the interesting process of when do you do that and how do you do that? And so that I learned a lot from that. And you basically just wave at the speaker and she acknowledges and she stops the person speaking and says, Representative Smith, Representative Post has given you his time, and so carry on. So I think that's fascinating. It's, again, you could easily knock and say, boy, what a waste of time, what a waste of time, what a waste of time. I don't think so. I think it was very valuable use of time. Okay, what else have I learned this week? Let's see. Well, the reason why I'm doing this video now is something that I've learned this week, is that we can get extremely busy around here. I mean, really busy, especially when there's the amount of bills that are being run through the pike here. We've had committee meetings that have gone very long because of a lot of testimony. There's starting to be more, I'll put it this way, less bills that everybody can agree on, and there's starting to be a little bit of tension and whatnot, and so some of our committees have gone really long. Had a committee, my Rural Communities Committee yesterday, went really long. The GMO issue came up again. My Judiciary Committee went long last night because of some very emotional testimony. So what happened was today I had to move up all of my scheduled events and everything, and so I'm out of the office after 12 today because I'm going to Newburgh. And I'm going to go visit a youth center and some other things there in Newburgh that I'm looking forward to. So that's why I'm having to do this video. But my point of all this is, one of the things I'm learning is, man, time is tight. I was here yesterday from 7 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night, partly because I did an interview on K2, which, by the way, you can watch that. I believe it is Sunday morning at 9:30. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it's Sunday morning at 9:30 on Channel 2, K2 television. Your Voice, Your Vote, or Your Vote, Your Voice, one or the other, with Steve Dunn. And Scott Bruin and Bill Courier and I were on it. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'll DVR it because I'm in church on Sunday morning. And so we did that down in the basement of the Capitol. They have a media center down there. So anyway, this day is just flown by, and I now have to run to Newburgh. If there's anything else I can think of that I learned this week, I'll tell you this. Part of also being in the minority like I am is everybody here gets their door knocked all day long. You have these appointments all day long with people coming in every 15 minutes. The vast majority of them are various different groups representing whatever. They come in and they do this. Give me money. I'm being somewhat facetious, but it's, please make sure we get funded. Please make sure we get money. Please make sure we have a budget. Please make sure, please make sure, please make sure. And the one thing that I would say that I've learned this week is I'm being a little more blunt and a little more kind of a jerk sometimes. Not a jerk, but just honest. And I'm saying to these people, I'm not the guy you need to talk to because you don't need my vote. You have 35 other people who will probably vote for you for your budget. So why waste your time coming in and talking to me? Whether I'm a yes or a no doesn't really matter. So I think that I find that humorous. Maybe I have a sick sense of humor. Live long and prosper. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up. I wanted to keep it another 10 minutes, but there you go. Week 5 here in the state legislature with yours truly, Bill Post. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I'm going to go see an old friend over in Bend this weekend, so I hope you have a great weekend. Pray for Representative Carl Wilson. He's riding his great big Cadillac on 2 wheels. It's a motorcycle, but someday you should see it. He's riding it all the way to Grants Pass this afternoon for an auction, a fundraiser auction that he's doing down there. So God bless Carl Wilson. And you know what? Pray for us all, every one of us. Doesn't matter what party. Pray for us all. Keep us in your prayers. Keep us in your hearts and minds as we're trying to do the best job we can down here. I thank you for your indulgence in your time again and hope you have a great weekend.